sad to see the sport that we love and have put so much work into kind of fade away for stuff that we did to this world.
Like, what does your nutrition look like? Do you have a certain diet that you follow? And then, like, what's your fitness routine look like? Like, are you in the gym? Are you out biking? What does that look like?
Yeah, for me, it's like I don't really have the biggest nutrition plan. To be fully honest, I'm not the greatest eater in the world. You know, chicken wings are my favorite food. Yeah, I have a fairly straightforward gym routine. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just try and take as best care of my body I can through the gym and all that sort of stuff. Mainly, it's not about getting massive or building crazy muscles. It's about building your muscles to the right size for injury prevention. Because if you're massive, so you have massive quads, massive biceps, that's more weight to come down on from a jump onto your back. So I think it's important to stay lean while also being strong.
Yeah, totally. Like everyone has a different like weight that their body like tends to hang around. And if you put too much effort into building mass or bulk, yeah, it definitely it can inhibit your aerial flow.
For sure, yeah. And I'm already a pretty tall guy, so
Yeah, how tall you're? What, 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1"?
yeah, 6'1", maybe 6'2" ish. I don't know, something like that.
And how much do you weigh?
I weigh about 180, 175 usually, somewhere in that range. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at like the perfect size right now. Like everything feels good when I'm skiing. I'm never like, oh, I wish I was like a little bit lighter or a little bit stronger or could reach this a little bit more. I mean, you can obviously do as much stretching as you want to become as flexible as possible, but to a point it becomes counteractive, because if you're so flexible that your joints will go so far to the point where they'll just tear, I feel like that's not a good thing. So you got to be weary about where you're at with all that stuff for sure.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, like you want some tautness of of different muscles, especially like when I was rehabbing from my ACL surgery, I kept my hamstring a little bit tighter because I didn't want to have that, like, my hamstring was kind of keeping my knee in place rather than the ACL for a little bit of time.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, do you have a personal trainer that you work out with, or?
Yeah, I do. I have a trainer that I've been using for, this is my 5th year working with him actually, which is crazy. And he's awesome. He works in Oakville at a place about 5 minutes from my house. So we usually do 2 days a week together, and then I'll usually do 1 or 2 extra by myself.
So like 3 or 4 days in the gym a week. That sounds
Yeah,
like a nice routine. Not killing yourself, giving yourself time
exactly.
to recover.
Exactly. Yeah. And my trainer is also like, he's pretty young. He's a skier. He mountain bikes. He's like super active. Like he's actually in Whistler right now, just skiing for fun. So, yeah, it's really cool to have somebody like that to work with who understands what I do and can relate to it and it gets excited by it. So, yeah, it's an amazing fit for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's definitely important to have someone who understands the sport at a certain level and has you can't comprehend what you don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know how to put that.
Exactly. Yeah. Because this way he understands it. He understands the spinning with the impact, how all that stuff works, because he does it. So he knows how to build a program for me that will help with that more so than just like, okay, go do 10 squats of 500 pounds or something. Just build up your quads. He knows how to keep you lean while being strong at the same time.
Yeah, one thing I love watching David Wise's Instagram because he's always doing cool balance stuff and everything
Yeah,
like that. And it's really important to like be able to have that nice hip hinge and understand the biomechanics of it, of deadlifts or anything like that, but incorporating those movements and biomechanics into like landing on like a Bosu ball or something like that.
yeah, exactly. And that's like sort of stuff that I do as well. And just staying moving, jumping, spinning, all that sort of stuff. I think it's awesome and super important.
Yeah, totally. That was one other question that I was going to ask you is like, do you spend a lot of time on the trampoline?
So not really anymore. at all, actually. It came to a point in skiing. It's really good at the start for learning, like, your first doubles and stuff. I think it's super important. But where we're at now in this sport at this level, it's super dangerous to do these tricks anywhere. And to have to bounce that high on a trampoline, which is an environment where I'm not as comfortable as skiing to try the trick, I think that's just kind of added unnecessary risk for me. So I'm more comfortable on my skis. So I plan on doing most of my tricks for the first time on skis.
And I mean, it's a little bit different. Like the slope of a takeoff and the slope of a landing generally have like around a 90-degree difference. And
Yeah,
so setting a trick on a trampoline, like taking it to your feet on the trampoline is slightly different than taking it to your feet in a, on a jump.
exactly. And there's also the whole the factor of carving on skis too. You can't do that on a trampoline, or you're going to land on some pretty hard ground. So
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and like carving, once I finally learned how to carve in the park to set cork sevens and cork nines, like
yeah,
that was, a huge difference in you could like I could get a lot lazier in setting my trick,
yeah,
and it was actually more corked than it was like D spin or like
exactly,
straight under.
exactly, yeah. And I have a friend who's a mogul skier, so they do a lot of trampolining. Actually, this is kind of one of the things that turned me off of trampoline. I was kind of already going the route of being scared of it, and one of my friends who was just on a day off in Whistler on a super tramp, and somebody threw the mat wrong, and he landed with one leg on, one leg off, and dislocated his knee and tore about everything in between. And it's been almost 3 years now, and he's just getting back to competing really again now, pretty much.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough, especially in moguls because your knees are getting the crap beat out of them in moguls
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
So yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I think trampolines are super fun, and it's something that if I try and get back out there and do some doubles, I'll probably do some practice on. But yeah,
Yeah.
good to know.
No, it's fun to bounce around on a trampoline and just, do backflips, cork sevens, cork threes, and stuff like that. For me, I still do that all the time. Like, I have a trampoline in my backyard, and I still always go out and use it in the summer when I'm craving to go upside down or something.
Yeah, totally. Like being in the air is one of, for me, it's one of the best feelings in the world. And so the trampoline's always a good way to get like that little hit of air time
Yeah,
when,
a
yeah.
little bit of adrenaline too.
Yeah, I also do some dirt jumping. You do any mountain biking or dirt jumping or anything like that?
I actually used to do it a little bit when I was younger. I was in this like mountain bike club, and we'd go out to Glen Eden, a little hill in Ontario, on Wednesday nights after school. And I don't do it anymore so much because I don't really want to hurt my body doing something other than skiing. But it was all time, and I made some amazing friends doing it. And it's definitely something I want to start doing more of again.
Yeah, mountain biking's awesome. Love it.
Yeah. I always take it as an excuse to go out and when I'm coaching momentum in the summer up in
Mhm.
Whistler, I always take the advantage of being able to go out and mountain bike with the campers there because it's not something I get to do a lot anymore.
Yep. And then just being conscious of what you're doing and not pushing the limit. That's one of the things that's hard for me is I get out dirt jumping and I'm like, oh, like I just want to try like progression is what, I think fuels a lot of athletes. And so it's hard to rein back the progression when you get into something.
Dude, yeah, I'm the exact same. When you get overexcited when you get out there and you're like, okay, wait, take a step back, like slow down, buddy.
Yeah. So yeah, brought it up a couple times before and in this conversation, and you hinted on it 2 days ago when we started this conversation. What's your opinion on like climate change and the social condition and ski communities and all that? Like, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's super important to be weary about that. Like, I'm definitely not as educated as I should be, but I think it's really important to think about what we're doing to the environment, especially in this day and age, and especially with the statement from the FIS director or something the other day that he
Yep.
said he didn't believe in climate change. And for FIS to say that, I think is like horrible. And I think that skiers and snowboarders as a whole, we all need to make a stand to them about that, because it's insane what we're doing to the environment and at the rate that we're doing it. Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard, especially like big mountain skiers spend time in helicopters or, flying overseas for trips. And it's one of those things like you want to live your life to the fullest. You want to see all these amazing places, and experiencing different cultures is one of the best ways that you can like ground yourself and understand more about just the whole world in general and
Yeah,
break down barriers. But then at the same time, those trips are what's hurting the environment. And so it's finding
yeah,
that nice balance of like having a hometown that you have access to all the things that you'd love to do, and then also just kind of like trying to figure out what you can do to be an advocate for everything. I was going to ask you about the FIS director and everything there.
yeah.
That was so surprising to me to hear that. And
Like, even if he thinks that, like, you don't say that,
yeah,
especially in a job like he has, you know? Yeah, it blew my mind. And I think it blew everybody's mind. I don't think there was really that many people at all in this world that would be on his side with that. Well, in our sport, at least. Obviously, this world, there's a lot of people who would agree, but yeah, I'm not one of them.
yeah. I think it's super important. I want to see my, grandchildren's 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 grandchildren skiing.
It'd be
It's,
sad to see the sport that we love and have put so much work into kind of fade away for stuff that we did to this world.
yeah, it's scary. It's scary to look at like the projections of how the Earth might look from space in 40 or 40 years from now. Like the projections of like 2060, or like it could be a brown planet. And that's just sad, disgusting, like scary.
Yeah,
And
it's mind blowing, man. On the same topic, like, if I know it's kind of, it's different for sure, but I saw projections of like what the town I live in is going to look like in like 30 years, kind of thing, and it's like mind blowing. It's just turning into a city everywhere. Like, we got to leave some environment, some nature around.
yeah, seriously. I mean, I think one of the things that, helps me decompress and feel like I have the space to exist peacefully, I guess is the best way to put it, is the environment and being out in the mountains. And if everything becomes a city, if it all becomes inhabited by humans, it's almost like a claustrophobia, an inner, like a spiritual almost claustrophobia, I
Dude,
guess.
for sure. Yeah.
The fifth thing's crazy. Blew my mind.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I think you're one of the most well-rounded skiers there is out there, and you proved that with Slush Cup, at least as far as slope style and park goes, free ride. And I really look forward to seeing what you do in the backcountry. I bet you're going to be sick. But Slush Cup, you won the first annual Slush Cup. Like, talk about that a little bit, and talk about, like, how do you build your repertoire of tricks, and why is that so important to you? And yeah, like a lot of people get like the staple, and it's fun to have those go-to tricks, but how do you expand that repertoire the way that you have?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. I guess I didn't really know that I had that big of a bag of tricks. For me, like, I don't really focus and go out and try and learn stuff unless it's like a new jump trick that's really scary that I want for a contest. I think for me, at least, it just kind of comes naturally and you sort of learn that way.
Yeah, it's finding that crew of people that can push you in a way that is supportive, and like you have that sportsmanship type competition where it's like you're really just competing against yourself. But when you see someone go first, it kind of like it can give you permission to be like, oh well, I can do that. Like, in when you
Exactly.
that's something that, as I've explored and expanded my view, I feel like it's come around a lot more in the male side of the sport is support and sportsmanship. For a while there in like the 2000s, I think it was kind of who could have the bigger swinging dick, and
Yeah.
It's cool because it pushes the level of the sport, but now that it's at, at the level that it is where triples are, like you said, are dangerous. And yeah, sportsmanship I think is huge. It's huge to have that support and that sportsmanship from other like-minded people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the greatest things about freestyle skiing is that we are fortunate enough to be in a sport where we do have that support and everyone is friends. And because for me, I need to be with my friends. I'm not going to go out and ski on a private icy jump by myself and learn a new trick. I like being there with my friends and feeding off of them and hearing them say like, "Oh, dude, you got that!" Like, I don't know. That's it for me.
That support means everything. I know that.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you'd pass along to someone who wants to do what you do?
It's a question I get a lot, and it's a question I kind of said the same answer to a lot. It's do it for the right reasons. Do it for you. Keep having fun with it because if you're not having fun, you're not going to be able to push yourself. First and foremost, the reason that I got into skiing was to have fun, and I feel like if I wasn't having fun doing it anymore, I wouldn't be successful or wouldn't even be doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, love it. What's one piece of encouragement or wisdom that you've received that stuck with you and that you've taken with you?
That's a good one. I haven't heard that before. I'm gonna have to think for a second. Yeah, I guess it was just kind of follow your dreams. I mean, that's like it can go with anything, even outside of skiing. But I was lucky enough to have parents that supported it from the start and supported me traveling and being away and missing school and all that. But I never like the thought in my mind never really left of wanting to grow up to be a skier. I had no idea what it meant. I didn't know that I could like make a living off of it or anything. And I just wanted to be a skier. That's what it was. I wanted to be a big name. And so I just kept following my dreams and yeah, it worked out for me. So I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah, totally. And I love that it totally does apply to anything. And I think consistency is super important. And like you said, like, you remember your why is like, I want to have fun, want to keep, having that emotional why of doing it for yourself and not doing it for other people, I think is super important. Because as soon as you start doing it for other people's attention or other people's, validation, that was one of the things that I dealt with a lot growing up ski racing is it became for other people's validation and then stopped performing. Then all of a sudden my life fell apart because my whole self-worth was based off of other people's opinion of me.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the good thing right now with where I'm at in my mind and skiing. It's like, if you don't win the contest, it's not the end of the world because you were still out there living your dream, doing what you wanted to do all your life.
Yeah,
And yeah, just got to be grateful enough for that.
love it. Yeah, totally. If you could have one significant impact in the world, what would it be?
Just to promote happiness, I guess, would be it. I think happiness is one of the most important things. And I think that could affect a lot of the negative stuff going on in the world to keep it very simple.
Yeah, for sure. You can't be depressed and grateful at the same time, upset and happy at the same time. I think they're polar opposites. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Do you have a favorite travel tip or hack that you travel a lot you can pass along to the listeners?
I mean, for anybody in Canada and US, go and apply for a Nexus card because that's amazing. Makes your lineups way better, whether it be like crossing the border or airport lines. That's helped me a million times and saved me from missing flights a bunch of times. But I think an essential thing to pack in your carry-on bag is a small little thing of toothpaste and a toothbrush because the worst thing that can happen to you is you get stuck in the airport overnight and your flight gets canceled or whatever and your teeth get all nasty and your breath stinks and it's nice to just be able to go in the bathroom and freshen up a little bit, I guess.
No, I love that for sure. Like, no, super important. And, a lot of toxins, most of the toxins are released from your body through like sweat and breath. So when you're breathing all the time, you get all that nastiness under breath. And no one likes having conversations with a neighbor on the flight with nasty breath. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess on that same topic too. I mean, if you're traveling and you're super bored, like spark a conversation with somebody. You can like learn so much about someone and pass the time way faster if you're making a new friend, you know?
Totally. Yeah, I was just out in North Carolina, like special guest at this event, and met someone on the plane who might end up being a client. And it was just, we got in a
Exactly.
conversation about CrossFit and nutrition and everything. And then all of a sudden, one thing led to another. And he gave me, my flight got canceled. I was flying to North Carolina. My flight got diverted to Birmingham, Alabama, and then we made it to Nashville, and then I was supposed to fly to North Carolina, and he actually ended up giving me a ride to the hotel because they put me up in a
No way.
hotel overnight. So
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. It's like you never know who's sitting right next to you. So why not find out?
definitely, I love that for sure. Last but not least, where's the best place for everyone to find you?
I'd say Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm on everything these days. So just hit me up there. I go through all of my DMs, all my messages and stuff. And I'm always happy to chat with any kids or anybody really who wants to talk, have any questions or anything. Like, hit me up.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I look forward to watching you crush and seeing what you do this spring. I hope that everything with the injury you heal up. Awesome. Yeah. If you're ever out in Colorado, please be in touch, and I'll let you know if I'm ever up in Ontario or anything like that.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's nice to kind of get some words out there, and it was good to connect with you and great conversation.
Yeah, man. Likewise. I appreciate it, and look forward to getting some turns in whenever we get the chance. Hey, just one more thing before you go. I wanted to say thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. A couple things that I would ask that you do if you enjoyed today's episode. Number one, go follow us on Instagram at The Athletic Stance Podcast. Number two, if you don't mind leaving a review, rating it, and subscribing, it always helps. It helps spread the word. It helps me know what you guys are enjoying or not. And if you don't mind leaving a comment on Instagram, letting me know what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying, I will always take into consideration. And feel free to send me a message with recommendations on who you'd like to hear from, what you'd like to hear us talk about. And as always, thank you so much for listening, for your time, and we'll see you next time at the Athletic Stance Podcast.